Just one second. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. I'll start out with the prayers this morning. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chevam Narotam. Devi Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jaye Udire. Nisriprayeshu Adveshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhakti Bhavati Uttam Sloke. Bhakti Bhavati Naistike. Today we're starting out with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, um, chapter 1, the advent of Lord Krishna's introduction. Verse 27 to 35. Verse 27. Formerly, Sursan, the chief of Yadu dynasty, had gone to live in city of Mathura. There he enjoyed the place known as Mathura and Sursan. Text 28. Since the time, the city of Mathura has been the capital of all the kings of the Yadu dynasty. The city and the district of Mathura are very intimately connected with Krishna, for the Lord Krishna lives there eternally. Text 29. Some time ago, Vasudeva, who belonged to the demigod family or the Surya dynasty, married Devaki. After the marriage, he mounted his chariot to return home with his newly married wife. Text 30. Kamsa, the son of King Ugrasen, in order to please his sister Devaki on the occasion of her marriage, took charge of the rein of the horses and became the chariot driver. He was surrounded by hundreds of golden charioteers. Text 31 through 32. Devaki's father, King Devak, was very much affectionate to his daughter. Therefore, while she and her husband were leaving home, he gave her a dowry of 400 elephants, nicely decorated with golden garlands. Garlands. He also gave 10,000 horses, 1,800 chariots, and 200 very beautiful young maidservants, fully decorated with ornaments. Text 33. O beloved son, Maharaj Parikshit, when the bride and the bridegroom were ready to start, conch shell, bugles, drums, kettle drums, all vibrated in concert for their auspicious departure. Text 34. While Kamsa, controlling the rein of the horses, was driving the chariots along the way, an unembodied voice addressed him, "You foolish rascal! The eighth king of the woman who you are carrying, will kill you." Text 35. Kamsa was condemned personally in the Bhoja dynasty because he was envious and sinful. Therefore, upon hearing his omen from the sky, he caught hold of his sister's hair with his left hand and took upon his sword with his right hand to serve her head from the sever her head from her body. Text 36. Wanting to pacify Kamsa, who was so cruel and envious that he was shameless, ready to kill his sister, the great soul Vasudeva, who was to be the father of Krishna, spoke to him in the following words. Text 37.
Mataji, we are reading till 35 today.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Sri Krishna Prabhuji, whenever you're ready, you can start, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Sundaran Prabhuji. Yeah, thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Ati Ali Beli, Sri Radha Mataji. Thank you for reading the Srimad Bhagavatam translation today. कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। वैराग्यविद्या निजभक्तियोगं शिक्षाष्टमेकं पुरुषपुराणं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यशरीरधारि कृपाम्बुदितमहं प्रपद्ये। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं श्रीपरमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So we are seeing this 10th canto, chapter 1, the advent of Lord Sri Krishna. So very beautifully explained by Sukadeva Goswami. So Parikshit Maharaj, after hearing the Yadu dynasty's lineage, now in the beginning of this chapter, he is putting forward many questions which eventually led to this explanation by Sukadeva Goswami. So, so he asks some specific questions about Lord Sri Krishna, his activities, how did Balram got transferred from Devaki to Rohini, some specific questions about Krishna's pastimes in Mathura, how many queens he married. These are not so very specifically. Eventually, Sukadeva Goswami is elaborating how Lord Krishna has appeared to reduce the burden of earth by a lot of demons were occupying the earth, and Mother Earth was feeling burdened. Nowadays in the Kali Yuga, people do all of this researches and they say we don't have enough grains, we don't have enough resources to survive. But Prabhupada always used to say that the earth can produce 10 times more resources, but it cannot tolerate the sinful activities by demons. So, so that is the reason. It's when we say burden, we normally think earth is, trying to have too much weight, carry too much weight, but it's not physical, it's very subtle. So the earth, the soil can produce so much, and the resources can be, because it's all coming from spiritual potency. So all resources are unlimited, but the resources are curtailed or restricted based on how we reciprocate. So that is a very subtle science that Srimad Bhagavatam teaches. So the demigods and the Supreme Lord also restricts the resources depending upon our reciprocation. So which is what, so Mother Earth basically appeared as a cow before Lord Brahma and all the demigods. They went to Sirodakshay, ocean, causal milk, ocean, and they prayed. So when Lord Brahma goes to causal ocean, Sirodakshay ocean, with the demigods, they normally, it is mentioned, Srimad Bhagavatam, they pray Purusha Shukta prayers, among many other prayers that they recite. So by their deep prayers, Lord reciprocated within the heart of Lord Brahma, and he mentioned that, yes, actually, I'm going to appear. As and all of the demigods also should appear in Mathura, so that they can all take part in this particular pastime. So, so now starting from today, we are seeing how now Sukadeva Goswami is elaborating further. Sukha Uvacha, and so after advising demigods and pacifying Mother Earth, now Lord Brahma, so he is considered the master of Prajapatis, right? So he is Prajapatir Patir Vibhu. So he's been addressed Master Prajapatis. He went to Brahmaloka. Paramam Swadhama Paramam Yayo. So he went back to his abode, Brahmaloka. So it is also mentioned here that he is very sweetly pacified. It's like there is a word that's used, girbihi, very by sweet words. So he's when Lord is appearing, he's also becoming very, the words emanating, whatever is was revealed in his heart, so is completely understood, and he just narrated the same thing to the demigods and mother cow. So now starting from verse number 27, so we are seeing again the Surasena here mentioned. He is the chief of the Yadu dynasty. So he used to live in Mathura, it seems. So there, so between Mathura, so he was basically the king of Mathura, and he was ruling that. So he enjoyed those places. Um, and then consequently then the Mathura is the capital of considered to be the capital of all the kings in the Yadu dynasty. So now between Mathura and Vrindavan, both are very much connected to Krishna. I mean, that's why even from the very own pastime, so Mathura is also transcendently connected, eternally connected, and Vrindavan is also eternally connected. So that is why, right from the beginning, Lord Krishna is bringing these two places. So Krishna was born in Mathura, but he was transported to Gokul, and then later on they moved to Vrindavan. So like that, there all of these places are intimately connected with Krishna's pastimes. So Krishna is just connecting all the dots right from the beginning of his birth, so that all these places would have significant presence in his entire Leela of entire pastimes of Krishna. So, so in the Mathura district, Prabhupada is focusing on the purport, elaborating on how is this Mathura, the place Dham is very significant. So if we go to the Uttar Pradesh, there is, I mean, obviously we have districts, several districts. So Mathura is one of the district. So within the Mathura district, all of these Vrindavan, Gokul, all of the forests where Krishna performed pastimes, all of that comes into the Mathura district. So in the whole Mathura district is basically a very intimately connected with Krishna transcendentally, and it is said that Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. So it's something mystical that even though Krishna physically in the past times he leaves Vrindavan, he goes to Mathura, he performs his pastimes of killing Kolaya Pida, Kamsha, and defeating the Chanura and Mushtika, and so on, so on. So it in the past times it is as if he never returned back to Vrindavan, and everybody is in the separation. But then there is a saying that Vrindavanam parityajya padam ekam na gachati. So leaving Vrindavan, Krishna does not take 1 feet. Padam ekam, like not even 1 feet, na gachati. So this is the statement of Shastra. The reason because Krishna is transcendently, eternally connected with Vrindavan. So all of the devotees are so much connected with Krishna in Vrindavan, so Krishna never leaves them. So even though it appears that he is giving them separation, but he never leaves them. And so anyone who goes to this district of Mathura is it certainly takes the advantage of Krishna's presence in all of these dhamas, and there is a lot of spiritual potency one can benefit. So similar to what in the Gauda Desha, like Gauda Mandala, they say, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the Navadvip Dhama. So Narottam Das Thakur says that Sri Gauda Mandala Bhumi Ebe Jhana Chintamani Tarahaya Vraja Bhumi Vasa. So Vrajabhumi refers to the Mathura Vrindavan, these places, and Gauda Mandala refers to Navadvip. So both these places, Narottam Das Thakur refers as a non-different from a spiritual potency. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was non-different than Krishna, so he appeared in the Gauda Mandala Bhumi. So now Lord has actually made it very convenient for the conditioned souls. If one comes to Mathura, Vrindavan, and Navadvip, he can be easily connected to Supreme Lord. So that is why we can see that a lot of devotees take advantage. They go to Parikrama, they visit Vrindavana for retreats. Whenever they get opportunity, they go and just simply observe in the thoughts of Krishna, chanting and attending the temple programs. So all of that have extremely great potency. And so, I mean, the Prabhupada emphasis is that whenever we get that kind of opportunity, we should certainly take advantage of it. And we should understand that these transcendental importance of these dhammas, which anyone who goes to these places and executes devotional service, certainly goes back to Godhead after giving up this body. This is a very powerful statement, right? So, it's just very directly connected to Lord Krishna. So then I think that there was one joke that Americans, the one time I heard about, so people has to travel to see Vatican City, and then they can get connected to Pope. And then he said it's, and then the one person said it is an international call. But if you are in Vrindavan, you can actually make a local call to God. You don't have to travel internationally. So the significance is it's such potency vibrant is in Vrindavan, where Krishna is accessible right there. It's his potency, his energies, his devotion is so much accessible. So that is why the emphasis is given that how Krishna is so much intimately connected with Mathura and Vrindavan. So these are transcendental abodes, which is appearing as it is in the material world. So one time, Dinabandhu Prabhu was explaining about Krishna's pastimes, about Damodar Leela. So at that time, I was asking him, I didn't understand. I mean, I was basically very ignorant of spiritual places. I was asking Prabhu, what happens when the pralaya happens? What happens to these spiritual places? And then Prabhuji was just silent, and he was just looking at my face, and then he did not answer basically. And then later on, I understood that these places are not material. So when so we see everything as physical, but they see everything as spiritual in the spiritual abode, in the dhammas, in the spiritual places. So when Krishna appears, it's not about, it's about the, even they go to the extent of seeing all the plants, the sand, the soil, everything being completely spiritual potency. It even though it appears like a matter, but it's completely has the power to transform the souls into Krishna consciousness. So that is the reason it's fully spiritual. And of course, so when all of these spiritual abodes, we can even see that the glories of Vrindavana and the Govardhan Hill, all of that is explained in the by Rupa Goswami also. So here, going on further, now Sukadeva Goswami is elaborating how Vasudev belonged to the Sura dynasty in a demigod family. So Vasudev was married to Devaki, by the arrangement, and then Vasudev is a king, he is a Kshatriya, and Devaki was also in the king Kshatriya dynasty. So they both were married, and after this marriage, it was mentioned that Ugrasena Sutaha, so the son of Ugrasena, so Kamsaha, so he was basically very much affectionate to his daughter, to his sister. So because of this affection, generally they are very kingly class, very opulent. They don't drive the chariots. Normally there will be a chariot driver who will be driving the chariot, but because he was very affectionate, he was driving the chariot of Devaki and Vasudeva. So nowadays also, if sometimes we see that sometimes the father drives the car, he was very opulent, like he was owner of multiple companies. Sometimes on a special occasion, the father drives the car or a brother drives the car. So like that, this is a very special occasion. Now Kamsa is Swashupriya Chikir Shaya. So he was mentioned this, he is very dear to please, just to please her, he was taking that position, and he was taking the reins of horses and he was going. So now there was a description that is mentioned how these horses were decorated by golden chariots. So it is very opulent, and also the marriage ceremony and post-marriage ceremony. So now going on, Devaki's father here, King Devaka, it is mentioned he was very much affectionate to his daughter. His daughter is leaving him from his home to husband's home, father-in-law's home, right? So now the father, out of his affection, he gave lot of wealth along with his when her daughter was leaving. So the custom in those days, traditionally in the Vedic culture, was there was no when the father's wealth is distributed, it is only distributed among sons. So when the daughter is leaving the home after marriage, so they considered that's an appropriate time to distribute the wealth to her daughter. Whatever capacity, I mean, if he is poor, he can just give at least something which is of some value to her daughter. So of course here Devaka was a king. He could afford, like it was mentioned, 400 elephants, golden garlands, and then 10,000 horses, chariots, beautiful maidservants. So he was a king and he had the capacity of course, he was able to do it. But it's not like nowadays in Kali Yuga, dowry means you have to go above and beyond. It's not like that. It's always something affectionate. You want to give it to your daughter. This is the appropriate time to give. So and then later on nowadays in Kali Yuga, we see all of these are having some negative effects because it was used as a from a negative perspective, not as affection between daughter and father. It was used to judge the status symbol, status quo, and all of that is becoming polluted in Kali Yuga. So, but those days it was spontaneous. It was not something that was asked by the husband's father or mother. So here we can see that even this custom was followed by Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas. They will give the liberal dowry as long as whatever they were able to afford. So this is a traditional culture in the Vedic society. So and then after that, when the chariot was going, when the conch shells, bugles, everything was vibrating, they were actually about to start the chariot. At that time, so here it was mentioned that Sankaturya Mrudangascha, so there was very elaborate celebrations. The chariot was just about to leave. So at that time, Kamsa was hearing what's called Akashvani. So here, this Akashvani was spoken by it was mentioned by the demigods. So the demigods were actually doing this for a particular purpose to instigate Kamsa to basically facilitate the whole pastimes of Krishna here. And whatever the demigods were speaking, basically a fact, they were not lying. It's the fact that when this voice spoke, this was a factual situation, and also there has a particular purpose why demigods were doing like this. So here it's mentioned that sarira vak. So asarira vak means you cannot see the form. Asarira means there is no physical form, but you just see just the walk, means the voice. So asarira voice, it's like something coming from the sky. So and then it was mentioned that Ashyastvam Ashtamo Garbo. So Garba means like the pregnancy. Ashtama means 8. So the eighth pregnancy, Hantayam Vahashe Abuddha. So basically they are criticizing Kamsa. You are Abuddha, you are foolish. Your sister's eighth Garbha, that person will be killing you, Hanta. So you are such foolish that you are driving her, after her marriage. So that was basically chastising. It was not even giving the message, but it was also, the message was chastising Kamsa. So Kamsa being a king, and he's also with the tendency of ruler tendency and controlling tendership, he was completely taken over by this voice, and he immediately went into the very passionate mode. So now this child is going to kill. How I can actually annihilate this person, and my death can be alleviated. So that was how he was thinking. So in this omen, like Ashtamo Garbha, it doesn't say specific details about male, female, or all that details. So Prabhupada elaborates that in the Vishwakosha dictionary, there is a dictionary called Vishwakosha Sanskrit dictionary. Their Garbha means embryo, also Arbhaka means also called child. So, but so here so here Kamsa was basically, even though he was very affectionate to his sister, when it comes to his own selfish tendency to protect himself, he was trying to take up the sword and about to kill Devaki. So now this here the six sons, they take birth on the Devaki's womb. They were actually the sons of Marichi. They were cursed to take birth in the mother of womb of Devaki, and then they were also killed by Kamsa, and then they get delivered later on. So now Devaki understood. After hearing this, now Devaki also terrified. What is this bad omen? She is also understood that Kamsa would be killed by Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he would appear in her womb. So so here Kamsa is being condemned by the demigods. He was being condemned by the demigods, and also he was in the Bhoja dynasty. The Surasena. He wants to take away the position of a king by force. So in the Bhoja dynasty, also everyone knows that Kamsa was very envious. He was very sinful. So therefore, this omen was very significant from his perspective, that now Kamsa is thinking, okay, now I got some idea how my death is going to appear. Somehow I'll take control of that, and I'll put I'll do so and so activities that would actually protect me. That was the kind of a decision that Kamsa goes into. So immediately he takes up his khadga pani kache grahit. So he takes up his sword, khadga pani, and then he takes up the hair of Devaki, and to basically cut off her head. So this is this is a verse number 35. So in this, at this point, Kamsa was he was driving the chariot, and he was putting his hands on the reins with the left hand. But as soon as he heard, and the eighth child of Devaki would kill him, so he just gave up the chariot reins, and then he caught hold of sister's hair, with the right hand. So this is the scene right now. How he transformed from being so affectionate to the other side of being so much in self-interest. So as soon as he heard that his life was at danger, he forgot, all affection was gone, and immediately he became a great enemy. So now Prabhupada quotes that this is the nature of demons. And demons do not trust anyone. They will not trust anyone, and we also, as a devotees, we should not trust any demons. And despite there may be so much affection back and forth, if they are not a devotee of Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, then definitely there will be some trust will be broken as soon as something of self-interest gets friction. So in this case, Kamsa's own life is in danger, but still he did not think for a second, immediately thought how to annihilate his own sister, which is very extreme, right? So from being extreme affectionate position to the extreme position of killing his own sister, you can see the transformation. As soon as that ego was touched, that self-interest was touched, the person got completely transformed. So here Chanakya Pandit says, Vishwasha naiva kartavyo strishu raja kuleshu cha. So he also mentions raja kuleshu, like a politician you should not trust. So a king, a politician, a woman cannot be trusted. So here, I mean, this is a very generic statement, but generally, if one is a devotee of Lord Krishna, they are very much trustworthy, and we can actually even surrender to such a person who is a devotee of the Lord. Like, we normally go and, surrender to Guru. At that time, we say, whatever you want, I'll do it. So Prabhupada one time was asking, he was debating with his disciples about uh, the the embryo, the child within the womb getting killed by this abortions, right? So he was discussing how abortion is so wrong, and then his disciples was would counter Prabhupada just to have a good justification, good discussion, so that this audio can be given to others and they can understand the real problems. So the disciples were saying, this, mother is in complete control of the child. So it is her product. The child is the product of the mother, and within the womb, she can do anything she wants. If she wants, she can kill the child because it's her product. The child is completely under the control of mother. And then Prabhupada started saying that, okay, now you're all disciples, you're all fully surrendered to me. Can I just take a knife and cut your throat? Is that okay? And then the disciples said, no, because we are taken full shelter, you're supposed to give us protection, you're supposed to give us, direct us into right direction. So being somebody superior doesn't mean you take advantage of the somebody inferior. You basically try to protect them, right? So that is the right way of seeing it. So like that, we can understand now that so here the reason I was trying to say this was, if somebody is of who can be trusted, right? So if somebody can be trusted, is definitely a Vaishnava, or a guru who is completely surrendered to the Lord. He is very trustworthy because he is not working for his self-interest. He is working for the interest of the Supreme Lord. So the interest of the Supreme Lord is, he is actually Surdam Sarva Bhutanam. He is all well-wisher of the whole living entities. So he cannot do anything that is against the wish of the Supreme Lord. So that is the difference, that we can see. That Chanakya Pandit also, the Prabhupada is quoting his verse here. Hare Krishna. This concludes the last verse, verse number 35 today. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vranda ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Vanchakalpatrubhyasya kripa sindhubhya eva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, devotees.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.